Here we go again on our own. Going down the mediocre YouTube rat hole as far as I've ever known. What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? As you can see in the title, we're going to talk about it. So any of you who have known me for any period of time, whether it be a small period of time or especially a long period of time, knows that I've been playing poker for many years, decades, right? I love the game of poker for so many reasons. The game of poker will help you to stay humble in life. I will tell you that. The game of poker will humble you so quickly, it'll make your head spin, right? So here's the thing, and I've spoken about this for a long time and with many people. And anyone that plays poker knows that, you have to stay on your game. You have to play your game. That's the advice that I would give to anyone is, make sure you are playing your game. Okay? That's not to say you can't learn, but that's the whole point of it, sort of, right? Is that you're learning on every hand how people react. Now, online poker versus live poker is obviously a completely different monster, but I have done very well at both. If you're on your game and you just stick to your game, you'll be fine. But what I'm seeing, a lot of nowadays is, the best advice I can give you is stop listening to people on YouTube who are, going to teach you how to win at poker. Although they may have some good advice, but it's not like the advice they're giving hasn't been, said over and over and over a billion different times, a billion different ways by a billion different people. Most of the time they're selling something. Don't forget to check out my free poker cheat sheet, link in the description, right? And then you go there, and of course you got to sign up, give them your email and your birth certificate and your passport and everything else, so they can steal all your other fucking shit, and then bombard your fucking email with fucking, hey, save 10% off today. Hey, how about Black Friday? That basically there's a lot of poker players out there who just didn't make it as poker players, but they're now making it as, poker teachers on YouTube, trying to convince you that they can teach you how to win at poker. Okay. You got to stop listening to those guys. And honestly, look, it's not a bad idea to listen to and read books and stuff like that. It's real. There's a lot of great information in there. But look, if you really want to, you can go on YouTube. You can go. There's also like apps like Poker Go, which you have to pay for. But you can go on YouTube and you can, pull up, the greatest poker players in the world and watch hours and hours and hours and hours of how they played different hands. I'm talking about the greatest Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, you name the person. Greatest poker players in the world. We've been looking at the whole cards for decades, right? So you can watch how these guys played, and you'll learn more by watching that than anything else. I've often said, Phil Hellmuth is the greatest poker player of all time in my book, but Daniel Negreanu taught me how to open up my range at the right time. Those are, two of my favorite poker players, and I don't necessarily agree with Daniel Negreanu on a lot of personal things, but I don't have to. He's still certainly one of the greatest poker players there has been in many years. So yeah, go watch the greatest poker players in the world, how they play their hands, and you'll learn more from that than you will buying books and especially listening to people on the internet and YouTube who are trying to sell you things. You know, they're trying to sell you their poker system and this and that and the other, because like I said, these are people who didn't make it in poker, and they are now, you know, selling you shit. And because they didn't make it in poker, there's probably not a lot of good advice they're giving out, right? Other than advice that's been given out by everyone. Poker is fantastic. You know, I've been playing for many moons. I've supplemented my income with it. I've made a income with it for about 1.5 years. That's what I did. I just played poker. That was my income, and I was able to do that. My advice is, as far as live poker goes, you know, if you're playing 1-2, and you're doing well playing 1-2, don't be afraid to jump up to the 2-5 level, and then, you know, don't be afraid to jump to the next $5, $10 scale. You know, don't be afraid to do that. That would be my advice to a lot of people. A lot of people are so afraid to, you know, bring the stakes up, but you got to understand, higher stakes is, you know, bigger winnings. Bigger earnings. You know, if you're making a living out of playing poker, bigger earnings. You know, there's a lot of really great tournaments you can get into for cheap. You know, you can get into, there's many tournaments $100 and under that have, you know, very large prize pools and very nice size, first, second through 10th place, whatever. You can find those at, you know, any casino. And here in Michigan, there's a lot of there's different poker rooms and stuff now because they've made it more legal here. Now they've also legalized for real online poker here in Michigan over the last couple of years, which is nice to an extent. It's being legalized through a local casino, so like you've got, I think Poker Stars is one of them that runs through like Greektown Casino or something like that. So it gets kind of weird because you don't have people, it seems like they're, you know, you've only got people from this area, so it almost becomes like playing cash games in the real world, where for a while there, it was just like, okay, when I was making a living doing it, you know, you get to the point where you know, you're going every day and you're just seeing the same people over and over, and it's like, God, you know, what are we really doing? We're just taking each other's rolls off each other, right? So in that regard, it's all right. I mean, I hope and I would wish that they would put everybody in all the states that are legal. I know, like New Jersey's legal, Nevada's legal online poker. It'd be cool if all of them, you know, all these different states were mixed in, so that you weren't seeing all the same people all the time, because I do see a lot of that. You know, right now is a great time to get into playing poker, especially online poker, because that's the way of the world, is online, right? Not that online's my favorite, it's just that that's what people are doing, you know. From now until the first of the year is a great time, because, you know, especially if you have some experience playing poker, you're going to get so many people who have just started playing, and it's just like a cash machine, you know, it's like a friggin' cash register. And then that'll be that way in the live world too, over the holidays. As people have time off of work, they'll come into the casinos and say, I want to play poker, you know. And you know, if you're not a seasoned poker player, don't think for a second that, you know, everybody that's sitting at that table is going, yes. You know, and they are looking at you like a perfectly cooked steak. So online poker is interesting, because unlike live poker, where you're playing the man, it's not quite that way online. And I fear for the AI, the more AI shit that comes along, I fear that's going to fuck it up even more. But depending on, you are kind of, especially like I say, where I'm seeing a lot of the same faces on the tables when I play online here in Detroit. So you are kind of playing the man. But one thing that online poker did for me, that live poker did not. Online poker made me almost probably really forced me to remember better how people play their hands, because you don't really have you don't have any live tells, right? Where people do certain things, they move their chips a certain way and stuff like that. You don't have any of that, so you're paying attention to the tiniest detail online, and so really all you have is how the person played the last several hands. Now you can get software to do that for you, which I have. I just never really got into it that much, the software stuff. It's just kind of just is what it is. And I'm more of a live player, so I would rather just play live poker. But anyway, online poker really helped me to remember how people play their hands. How this guy played that hand. He played that way 10 hands ago. He played just like that, and he had dick. And odds are he has dick right now, and sure enough, he's got dick, or he's fucking got kings. But don't be afraid to lose. Poker is you're gonna lose. But when you lose, if you're going on tilt, if you're getting pissed off, just get off the table. I noticed that the other day. I was playing, and I was getting angry with just how badly these guys were playing. I was like, that's just a terrible, terrible, you can't even spell poker, you play so badly. And I realized a few minutes later, I need to get the hell off this table because I'm starting to tilt. And when you start tilting, man, it's just time to get off the table. Don't try to prove yourself as a man, and I'm going to come back and this and that and the other. And I wasn't even losing. I was doing well, actually. I had doubled up twice, and I was doing very well on a 1-2 table. So it's not like I was down, but I was tilting just by the way certain people. It was obvious, inexperienced poker players, and these people will play, every hand. They don't care. They'll play 7 deuce offsuit, and they will play it like kings, and they will just call you and call you down and call you down, and then they'll end up hitting 2 pair, on the river, 7 deuce, or they'll end up hitting a fucking full house, 7s over, deuces. And you just go, oh my God, just so bad. But I mean, yeah, they won the hand, right? But that's generally, that's not a winning strategy. They will lose their ass, and I've watched it happen. And I've taken people down like that. I zero in on people like that because, like I said, they're like cash registers. They're just giving the money away, and you just set them up, and and again, play your game. When you start listening to other people like myself, don't listen to me, try to tell you how to play poker, you are not doing yourself any favors, because now you're going to get back on the tables and you're going to start playing their game. You're playing somebody else's game, and you have to stay away from that. You have to play your game. That is one thing that I've noticed that rings true every time, is that when I'm dialed in and I'm playing my game and not looking outside of anything like that, that's where I'm consistently winning and turning a profit, if you want to look at it like that. I'm not in it to make a living right now. Maybe one day again I will. In fact, I know I'm going to supplement some of my income pretty soon here by doing it, but I'm not in, it's not like I need to make a living doing it right now, but I may do it for a living again. I don't know. It was great. It was fun. It was just that I needed more room to grow. I just got tired of seeing the same people every day, and that's where you really need to travel, because you get bored, and when you get bored, you do stupid shit. And so that's another thing, is you really need to stay on fresh tables with fresh people, so you don't get bored. Whatever your game is, maybe for you like playing with the same 10 people every time. If that works for you, then great. Again, don't try to play my game, because you're gonna lose. Play your game. That's the best piece of advice I can give anybody in poker. But in the end, just stop losing at poker by listening to all these people online telling you, look, man, I'm going to teach you how to not lose at poker. And you're 9 times out of 10, 11 times out of 10, you're listening to somebody who could not make it as a poker player teach you how to make it at poker. And now, because they couldn't make it at poker, they're selling you something. Buy my course. Buy my winning poker course. It's not a winning poker course. It's a losing poker course, because they couldn't make it as a poker player, right? So that's what I got for you today. Stop losing your ass at poker. There's Medetol Airport. If you know anything about good old Medetol Airport. Joy Road. Till next time, peace out.